Hello YouTube, Anasa here. Has been a minute since I stopped by and left here a video for you guys. And I like to be extremely honest and an open book here when I make any videos, being here on Instagram or whatever it is, the communication and interaction you're gonna have, because I believe in authenticity. And with that being said, I wanted to talk to you today about quantum healing hypnosis technique, quantum healing hypnosis therapy, which it is a work that I have been doing for the past 3 years. But just recently with the pandemic and everything that has happening, I also have reinvented myself and found courage within to step in full force into the things that I believe that will make me happy and also will help others in the process, because I found that this is what matters within my life. So I don't know if you've seen some of the videos that I posted here before, but if you haven't, I invite you to do so. Those videos that talk about personal development, about things that have helped me to find a peace, a path of peace, of contentment within myself, and also the things that I have learned within the process. And I share with a lot of humility and humbleness, because I know that I'm a student like everybody else, and I'm here on this earth to learn. And I also wanted to take this opportunity to invite you to subscribe to my channel if subjects like higher consciousness and the ascending of the earth and this spiritual connection that brings us for growth, if they are subjects that interest you, different states of consciousness, different states of minds, and hypnosis and holistic treatments, all those things are part of the things that I'm passionate about it, and I'll be talking often here on my channel. With that being said, let's go right into the subject that I want to share with you guys today. Quantum healing hypnosis technique, or quantum healing hypnosis therapy, whatever you want to call, and the variations of the same system. Like I said, I have to be honest with you guys, and this honesty comes from the fact that I wasn't ready to share some of the information that I have capturing through those 3 years with this work. And I'm not sure why. Maybe for fear of judgment, most likely for fear of judgment, for trying to see within my mind what would be the best way to deliver this information, insecurity of not passing the information as I feel that the information should be passed along, self-consciousness about the way that I speak, because English is my second language, and the list goes on and goes on and goes on. And so I decided to step out of that comfort zone one more time and share it anyways, because as I started to revise the sessions that I have done in the past, I seen how much of great information there was there that needed to be shared. So moving forward, I will be sharing, of course, with the permission of the subjects that came to the sessions, or sometimes and oftentimes not even mentioning names, but important information that came through, I will be sharing with you guys. But first, I like to talk a little bit more about this technique, what it is, the variations of it, of the same system, why I decided to study other systems as well, and some of the key things that might happen in the session. So here we go. Quantum healing was systemized by Dolores Cannon, the late Dolores Cannon. Some of you might know her. If you don't know her, I'm gonna leave here a link so you can get to know a little bit of her work. But basically, in 1979, she systemized the system of hypnosis, which is basically divided in 2 parts. The first part is a past life regression, and in the second part of the session, you go deeper within the subconscious mind and get in touch with what she calls the subconscious mind, or the higher self, a path of wisdom that it is within each one of us that opens the doors of information that is not only related to the subject that is doing the session, but also is connected with the collective. And I can explain a little bit more of how this connection with the collective works. But basically, we are coming out of our physical limitations, not only of mind, but also of body. And opening ourselves to the information that is out there, which is open for everyone. So if you are one of those that are interested in themes and subjects like higher consciousness, the earth, the ascension of the earth, you understand that very clearly, right? You probably have studied things like that, things like telepathy, things like channeling. So for you might be something easier to understand. But I wanted to rewind just a little bit, just for those that don't have access to this kind of information yet and might be coming across for the first time, might know a little bit more. So the mind has different ways to behave with the environment based on frequency and vibration. And this is scientific. This is a work that we can go and research through neuroscience, which are the different states that the mind and consciousness works. So basically, there are different brain waves in which we communicate. The faster brain waves will be the conscious mind, will be the one that we are now here talking, and you can make sense of things, right? You can understand what I'm saying. Then if you slow down the brain waves a little bit more, you go into a state that is that state that you almost fallen asleep, that the possibilities now are greater. So this is the place that you start having dreams, that in that state things don't make so much sense anymore, but it's the language of your subconscious mind. It's the language that makes sense within the subconscious mind, right? And then you have the total and fully asleep state. In those different brain waves, you have access to different information. Usually the subconscious mind is the one that saves and stores information from the past. They could be happy moments, but they can also be traumatic experiences in the past. So the idea of going into a past life regression, and some people don't believe in past life regression. You don't necessarily need to believe it in order to for this work to work. Of course, that's better if you believe it, right? But if you don't believe it, it doesn't matter. That's not gonna work, because you don't really need to believe in a dream. A dream just happens. So imagination just happens, right? It doesn't need to be necessarily the truth that really happens to you, that past life, but for sure that we have some information that will unlock certain things that are creating a roadblock in your life in the present moment. So the whole idea of going into a past life regression is just to see places that might be holding you back from move forward into this present life. So we are not going just out of curiosity. Usually on that the session happens that we go in a past life, not usually, but say at least 100% of the times. At least 100% of the times is great. At least 99% of the times that I did my sessions, this past life was crucial, even if it's just something as simple as seeing a mother in the past doing something that related to the mother in the present is doing as well, that's causing some kind of discomfort to that person, to change a behavior, if that's clear enough. So sometimes just a little simple thing is enough for the person change that way of view and have a better response to the things that happen in the present moment. And often the past lives, how the lawyers kind of used to say, are simple lives. They're sometimes very interesting, but 80% of the times they're simple lives that have a meaning to that person that is doing the session alone. Sometimes there are really profound information that comes from the past life, but most of the deep information comes after, which is in the second part of the session, that we go into the higher self, or the most deeper connection with that internal wisdom that, like I said, is it's connected with the collective. So in this part of the session, we go a little bit deeper on the state of trance. And I wanted to do a parenthesis on hypnosis, the hypnosis work itself. A lot of people have this fear, and they are skeptical about the work with hypnosis. We have been preconditioned to believe or to see by Hollywood movies that when you in a hypnotic state. You might be being controlled by the person or doing things that you didn't want to do. And this really, honestly, is just fantasy. It doesn't happen that way. You're being hypnotized many times throughout your day without knowing. As a matter of fact, every time that you concentrate and focus on something, you are hypnotized. You're just slowing down your brain waves and you're more open to suggestions. So the advertisement companies, they know that. So they kind of hypnotize you into slowing down your brain waves to give you a message, and you're more suggestible to buy their products, for example. So the hypnotic work, when you go into a deeper trance, meaning that your brain waves slow down even more, you can possibly get into the somnambulistic state. And the somnambulistic state, that's when sometimes you don't even remember what was said or how the session went along. But it is an extreme safe environment. You're not gonna come back out of the session not remembering your life or being stuck in the past. That doesn't happen. Never happened with me, never happened with the many years of work with Dolores Cannon or any other therapist that I know. So those fears and myths could be thrown out of the window. It's actually the opposite that usually happens. Even with the most simplest of the sessions, is the opposite that happens. Is a sense of freedom, liberation, and lightness. So in this deeper state of hypnosis is when it seems like the emotional part of the conscious mind, or what the conscious mind would be blocking for the person to see and to feel, it's now open. So the veils and the identity of that person, or thinking that something is right or wrong, it's not there anymore. So the eyes of perception per se, or the understanding of certain situation changes. And so when I say that this kind of wisdom is connected to the collective, it's because here seems to be that person that is doing the session also receives information from higher source, from spirit guides, from things that when the conscious mind is there, very active, seems to be out of logic, of out of what that person was told that is right or wrong. And then that is an infinite possibility for the things that could happen there. Anyways, so in my sessions, I just wanted to say a little bit of my sessions and how this related to Dolores Cannon work and all the other therapists that do this work. In my sessions, I have had people have experiences of abduction when they were abducted. They're not necessarily into the past life, but they do a regression within the present life, and they remember of beings getting in touch with them. I also had experiences of people going back and seeing themselves in ancient cultures like Egyptian cultures, and even in other planets as well. I have also had pretty profound moments when people felt the presence of Jesus, Yeshua, and that very strong presence of the divine. I have also had experiences when people start to understand that relationship with mothers and fathers. They're being so troubled, mostly because they have to learn a lesson they haven't learned in the past. So they see that in the past life. So as a result, they come back with a little better understanding and able to either forgive the parents or forgive themselves for certain kind of actions or reactions that they had. And in the work with Dolores Cannon, she wrote many books, and all the books that she wrote are based on her sessions, so are not actually books that she's writing out of her own perception, but just transcripts of her sessions. And this is what I'm going to be doing here in the near future. I will have the transcripts of my sessions, and I'm going to be sharing with you the information that are coming through. Now, I wanted to quickly just share some of my most recent information that I have gotten into my sessions about this period of the past year and the things that we are living now, what they represent. If you follow any other of the quantum healing practitioners, therapists as well, you might be listening to the same kind of messages. And this is one thing that brings confirmation to our work, is the fact that we are receiving the same kind of information of this collective source through the subconscious mind of the subject that's here, because it wouldn't have any other explanation since my subject doesn't know that subject, and I'm not necessarily watching videos of other therapists. I know from the groups that I participate, and then when they match, I just think that it's really, really profound. So one of the key things that are happening is that this is a process of ascension that we are going through. And what do I mean with ascension? We talk a little bit about the frequency and the vibrations of the brain. What the subconscious said and the information that comes from the subconscious mind is that everything is vibration and frequency. Even our physical bodies has a little more dense frequency than our thoughts, for example. Our thoughts have a more subtle kind of energy and vibration, and our physical body, to be dense and to be physical, needs to be a little more or vibrate in a slower rate in order to be manifested. So this is what's happening also with Earth, and that's what's happening with us as a collective, as human beings on Earth. We are passing through some challenges now, so we can learn with those challenges and raise our vibrations. There are so many examples of dualities and also fights and things that are putting us into a place of separation, so we can clearly see the separation and work into the separation within our own lives, so we can unite and raise our frequency and our vibration to a new Earth. The talk of the new Earth is also coming a lot into the sessions. This is coming actually since I started doing this work 3 years ago. It caught my interest because of that. I always had an internal feeling within my own personal guidance that something was happening for this change. But the sessions itself are talking about the new Earth. And what it is, this new Earth. Also based into the sessions, the new Earth is not something that is outside of here. It's happening within the Earth right now at this moment. And it's simply a question of vibration as well. We have the new Earth within what we can call the old Earth. And this new Earth is just like the acts, the behaviors, the groups, they are in sync with this new way of living, which is a way of living of union, of connection, of letting go of the separation. And oftentimes we might be jumping from the new Earth to the old Earth, back and forth with our attitudes and our reactions. So we need to be vigilant of our reactions. We need to be vigilant of our thoughts, so we are not skipping and going back into the more dense places where separation, violence, and hatred are very strong in it. But at the same time, the duality is something that never gonna cease to exist. It exists and is there. It's part of the creation. And this is also information that comes from the sessions, not only from me personally, but from the sessions. And we have a choice. We always have a choice within a duality. We can see the bad things happening as an opportunity, right, to change that, but also for acceptance, because that duality is part of creation, is part of reality. So when something bad happens, instead of reacting and being thrown from side to side, we can simply observe what's happening there and see what is the positive side within the negative side of the situation. So key things there happening, right? This vibration and frequency and all those challenges. And what we see, for example, in the pandemic, it's being negative. There are many other positive aspects in there too. In my case, for example, was me stepping into the things that I believe, letting go of the things that I didn't really like to do, and started doing full-time and building what I believe to be right for me. I see many things and many people working and being creative and learning new skills. So that's the key in there. For us to be able to rise into this new earth, we have to open our eyes for this duality being existent, and finding acceptance within that duality. And finally, the third thing that I want to talk about that is coming a lot in my sessions are the connection with extraterrestrial beings. I don't know if you have been noticing, and I believe you do, because it's very clear that media now is talk a little bit more about UFO appearances, and there's a little bit more of disclosure on this contact with other beings from other places. And I recently have done a session which I was hypnotized, and I have received through channeling 3 extraterrestrial beings. And I have posted here on my channel before, I believe, the session, but I'm gonna repost it if you're curious about watching and about seeing what is the information that came through in my session. But often, and the Lori Scannon has many books on that as well, on this connection with extraterrestrials. They are more and more present in our reality because they see that we are been working into raising this vibration, so we are able to understand things that we are not able to understand, for example, 20 or 30 years ago, or even before that, or even after that, right? Maybe 10 years ago, we're not able to understand or to even have an open concept to accept that there are other beings out there that exist and they're ready to communicate with us. What I want to say about this is that they haven't been communicated. What's coming in the sessions is that they haven't been communicated with us until this point because we are not ready. We also have this precondition and this belief system based on Hollywood stories, or sometimes even into the sense of some beings being abducted and having this fear of the unknown. But we have been told that they were enemies. They will come here and attack us, and we need to protect ourselves, mostly because of our culture based on fear and based on separation. But slowly but surely, more people like you, they're here watching this video, and me doing this work, and any other therapists doing this work, that this kind of mentality and concept is being opened up. And now, knowing that everything is frequency and vibration, we can communicate with them, which have a more subtle energy. And for example, they speak and they talk through telepathy, mostly through channeling, mostly. Some of them don't even have mouths. So there are many different kinds of extraterrestrial lives out there. As a matter of fact, infinite possibilities. But some of them don't even have a mouth to physically speak. So in order for us to be able to understand and to perceive that reality, we also have to change our vibrations in order to be there and understand. And that's what's happening now, right? With the process of the new earth, with the process of understanding duality, and all of those things. Anyways, I think that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I also said that I would tell you a little bit more about the other variants of the quantum healing hypnosis technique work. And so I'm gonna shortly talk about those here. So quantum healing hypnosis technique is this technique basically that I explained to you guys here. But as I said, in the past 3 years working with that, I have also come across 2 other systems. One is called Beyond Quantum Healing, and the other one is Illuminated Quantum Healing Technique. And the basic differences of those 2 systems are the flexibility for me to be able to work with you in an online basis, which the Lori Scannon, for being old school, starting her work in 1979, she used like tape recorder to record her session. Still, she was very old school, which is beautiful, and it's great. You know, it's a great kind of work. She is our teacher, but that is an evolution too of the work. Throughout the work, also therapists have noticed other things that should be worked on. in a not so strict way of inducting people into the hypnotic state, because quantum healing in the Lord scanning system, you can only use her induction. But she as well did within her own work some adaptations sometimes to work with extraterrestrials, for example, and to work with channeling messages. So herself and her work did that, but she didn't allow anybody certified on her system to do those changes. So students, there were students of hers, developed techniques and different kinds of inductions, and also gave us therapists more freedom and liberty to work with certain specific cases that need modifications, and this system would allow us to do those modifications. So I decided to do, for example, Beyond Quantum Healing by Candace Crow Goldman, which was the right wing of the Lord Scanner for many years. And then recently I did Illuminated Quantum Healing training. So I have 3 trainings on the system, and Illuminated Quantum Healing also worked with energies and attachments. Also noticing that throughout their work, Michael Gannon and Ron Armett, they noticed that many people had oftentimes attachments and energy attached to them based on their own frequency, on their own thoughts. They allow those energies to attach on them, and throughout the sessions those things can be taken care of and can be cleaned out of the energy field of those people. And also, like I said, the ability to do sessions online. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to share with you guys today here. If you have any questions, please let's continue the conversation, maybe have an interaction. You can post your questions here and I'll be happy to answer them. You can email me. I'm gonna leave my email here in my website, my Instagram, if you want to get in touch and know more, or if you want to book a session. I would love to do a session with you so we can go in depth into those subjects that you think that might be interested for you on your personal case to dive into. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.